Welcome to the Marty Reasoner episode of 97 Octane Hockey, joined by my good pal, Mr. Bob Schmidt, and my middle son, Mr. Noah. We all were in attendance today for the Oilers scrimmage and, the fan day, and looking forward to tomorrow's preseason opener against the Jets. What'd you see in that scrimmage that impressed you today, Mr. Bobby?
Well, first off, I am always impressed at the fan turnout for like just a little shinny scrimmage kind of thing. Like we're definitely in a hockey mad atmosphere here, and these people are showing up and they're cheering for shinny goals, scrimmage goals, and stuff like that. There's
somebody who's playing in the AHL, you can tell.
Yeah,
they want it bad.
Yeah, they love it, and they feed off that. So I think it's a good introduction for the players too, to kind of, especially like you were saying, the guys in the AHL and from the minors and stuff who aren't maybe used to this kind of atmosphere yet, and they kind of get that feeling in the rink, like, oh, there's a bit of a buzz because we got that Oilers training camp on. But overall, it was a competitive game for the most part. Was it a 1-goal game, I think, in the end, right?
Yeah.
2-1.
2-1. So it was entertaining, good, and I like going. Of course, I like to see Connor. I like to see Leon. I like to see the big names, but I like to see these guys that we don't know much about yet. That's who I like to see
coming up in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And see
how comparable they are. You know how they look to. See Bourgault go up against Kulak. How's that work? Right? That kind of thing. I like that dynamic. It was a good time.
Raphael Lavoie, couple of flashes from that kid. There's a little bit of heat on some of his shots. I was interested in watching him go. What's funny is I was sitting beside Lotzie, like Ryan Lotzberg, and we were right at center ice, and Team White, was just kind of going through their sort of horseshoe stuff before the game even started, and people are judging, the shots there and thinking, is that going to help him make the team and that kind of stuff. So I kind of got a kick out of that, and to my right was all the Edmonton media guys like, Stauffer and Jason Greger and Rashog and Louis DeBrusque and Jack Michaels and Gene and the whole crew. Reed Wilkins wasn't that far away from me. I should have said hi, but they kind of had this funny little police yellow tape kind of sectioning off their section. But, Connor, I don't think I'll ever get tired of watching that guy skate. And I know this is just preseason and whatever, but there was a time where he kind of wound it up and he regrouped and went back, and it looked like you were watching the whole thing where he went through the whole New York Rangers team all over again. Like it was the exact same feeling. I'm like, holy shit, I'm not going to sleep for a week after seeing this. and it's preseason. And then, watching Nurse today, I think he's worked on a little bit of his skating even more this summer, because I was noticing when he was behind the net, these quick little short strides and quick feet and really focusing on getting two pucks and getting them out like fast and now and being able to head up ice. And I thought he had a 98% flawless game. Yeah. Just one pass was a little bit behind, I think, Fogle in his feet a little bit. Other than that, the guy was lights out today. And I know it's preseason, but he showed really, really well today. I had to laugh, at the opening, and I guess I need to show the picture of it because opening face-off. Oh there's McDavid and Dry here, and I'm thinking, are these two going to square off? And so this face-off goes and Connor schools Leon on it, and I still don't know if Leon let him win the draw on purpose or what was going on there, but Connor really took him to school. So at the start of the second period, they faced off again, and they were jawing back and forth. I don't know what was said, but there was a little bit of chirping going back and forth. So
I think they were having a good time.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
It's probably the most relaxed practice they probably had. We're able to go out there and just play, right, and just kind of feed off the crowd, enjoy the momentum. Some of the younger guys are definitely still trying to make an impression. Some of the bubble guys are trying to make an impression too, but. I think this was just a fun day for them, a fun shinny for them.
Yeah, I think they like to be in front of the crowd again and kind of, get that part out of the way. And I noticed, that goal that happened, Connor Brown gets the puck and makes a nifty pass, not to McDavid, but to a spot so McDavid could get around his man that was close by, and he let him. And so McDavid's away, and then Kane cut backdoor, and Connor made a beautiful pass and backdoor tap in. Pretty goal. I know it's preseason, but that was a pretty goal. And so that line already, has some chemistry. Early on in the game, it was Connor and Leon head to head. That sort of changed as the game went on, but the one thing that didn't change is Nurse and Bouchard were out against Draisaitl and his line all day, and kept them to a donut. So I guess that's promising. I thought Skinner looked good. I mean, I don't think there's anything he could do on Kane's goal, and Jack Campbell made a almost like Devon White kind of catch in center field on a wrister that was going middle of the net. He just kind of scooped it out of the air and caught it like it was nothing. Jack looked comfortable. I know CC beat him on one, but he looked very comfortable in the net.
I'll be honest, I thought all four goalies showed well, like Rodrigue and Pickard. Pickard had the save of the night, I thought, too, but all four of them played well.
And that was on Kane again, too. I mean, Kane had some wheels going. No, it was enjoyable. You don't want to read too much into kind of a preseason scrimmage, but
what do you think, Noah?
Holloway was on his feet. He quite impressed me. He didn't materialize anything out of it, but he had some pep in his step. I'm hoping he can crack the lineup and be,
effective,
a bottom role player, a bottom six, and make a role for himself on the team.
Well, I see him fitting well into our third line, and he should get more ice time this year, I think, too, once he shows himself, kind of thing. But I agree with you. I thought he looked he had a bit more zip. He looked more confident, and it's also like it's not his first camp. Like he kind of knows what it takes to produce here and to show what it takes to show at camp, and he looked a lot more comfortable in it. But one of the things that stood out for me was I did not realize how fast Connor Brown actually is.
No,
I did not think he had that kind of foot speed.
I wasn't expecting much out of him, and the more I heard about him, and the more it seemed like a better signing as time went on. Especially seeing him play with McDavid, it's like, yeah, this is going to be sweet for us.
Well, I knew he could score. I knew he had some good hockey sense. I mean, I've seen him play obviously before, but I was unaware of the foot speed that he had. Like he kept up with the play. And like you mentioned there, Dursa, how he led some passes and that sort of thing. Like his thinking, his hockey IQ, and his speed for the game fit well with what they were doing there today.
His playmaking ability took me by surprise. Like there's a good player there, and him and Connor and Kane. Once again, you don't want to read too much into it, but you are watching him play against Nuge and Draisaitl and Hyman. I mean, that's for a large part of the day, and that's a pretty good line, as good as any line probably in the NHL. And they rose above that. They look like the top line. So I think there's going to be him staying healthy. It's going to be a promising year from that trio. I liked what I saw.
Well, that's going to be a big thing for us health wise too, right? We need guys like Kane. Obviously, we need him to stay healthy. But I guess CC was kind of struggling with injuries throughout most of the year too. And we shit on CC pretty good for the most part. I always liked him, but he definitely took a step backwards last year than he did when he first showed up. And now you find out he was actually fighting injuries all year for the most part. So
Yeah.
hopefully we see the CC of 2 years ago, stays healthy and is effective there. Is he a top 4 D-man? Probably not, but that's the role he's going to be on our team. Just keep it simple and be effective. That's all we're asking from him, really, to be steady.
And the leaps and bounds Bouchard's made since he started with the Edmonton Oilers organization too. He's a way better, more mature. I wouldn't say he doesn't just do things. He kind of thinks them and makes more mature plays.
Well, it's funny you bring him up, Noah, because I actually think there's going to be a big spotlight on Bouchard this year for the full season.
Yeah.
Like he showed what he could do once we traded Barrie and we give Bouchard all this responsibility. Of course, Eklund coming along and it was a huge compliment to Bouchard's game. But now we're going to have him for the full season playing that role, right? Being the Tyson Barrie or hopefully better than Tyson Barrie even, in that spot on our top 4. So there's going to be lots of eyes on him. So we'll see how he does with that kind of pressure and that kind of responsibility.
I thought today Bush was quiet, but in a good way. Like you didn't notice him with any glaring mistakes.
No.
You didn't notice the offensive flash, but I think that's to be expected. Nobody was walking in or sitting at the blue line teeing up clappers. That just didn't happen, and you're not going to see that in a inter squad scrimmage. You might see a little bit of that more tomorrow, but that definitely wasn't going to happen today. And yeah, him and Nurse as a pairing. I mean, going up against Dry, Nuge, and Hyman is not an easy task, and they were lights out. Yeah.
Another guy for me actually is a guy who's not going to be on the opening day roster is Bo Aki.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm actually I was impressed with him already in the Young Stars tournament. I mean, there's still certain parts of the game where he's a bit rough around the edges, obviously, but just being a kid and basically his first year pro. But he's got decent size. He knows how to use it. But his intellect of when to jump up in the play is what caught my attention. He was up in the play quite a bit, but not in a reckless, random way.
Yeah.
Like he was reading the play, jumping up when it needed to, and then backtracking if the play fizzled out. I was actually really impressed with
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I think Bo Akay actually showed himself better than Philip Broberg did today. Broberg seemed to be fighting it a little bit, and I thought early in that scrimmage, Broberg was fine, but as it went on, it started to get away from him a little bit.
Who did he kill there along the boards there? There was a pretty good collision. It was a bit of an accident, but he schmucked somebody in the boards pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but there was a couple of moments like that. I mean, Hamblin and Bourgault had a pretty good collision, and they were on the same line.
Yeah.
A lot of oohs and ahs there.
Was it Hamblin and Lavoie or something? Kind of a little bit of nastiness between the two of them too.
Oh yeah, they did a little jostling there. Nothing too hardcore, but
yeah. But there's a little bit of competing going on. I didn't see much from Brandon Sutter.
I noticed him earlier, and I wonder if I don't want to read into anything, but I wonder if maybe he's getting a bit fatigued in this kind of right now because he definitely tailed off as the scrimmage went on. But I definitely noticed him early on. Yeah. He was making some good breakout passes from along the boards. He was competing for the puck pretty good early on, and I saw him dish a couple up the middle, even though he's a center man, but he was fighting along for the boards. He looked pretty good early on, and then just kind of faded away.
Fizzled out. Yeah, that was Broberg's game, I thought, today too. Kajula didn't show that much. I don't think he's going to be really in the mix.
No, I think I maybe noticed him twice. And
yeah.
But, we'll see. He might be one of those Bakersfield guys who might be able to help the boys down there. But again, and it's tough not to – we're all excited. We're all caught up in the fact that we got to go see our boys skate, right? So it's tough not to read into things, but we got to keep reminding myself it's one scrimmage that we've seen, and we're not going to make the roster from the scrimmage that we saw to read into too much. But it was an exciting time. I mean, it's just good to have the boys together. It's good to see them wear the uniform. It's good to see them passing the puck to each other and just everything kind of the rhythm, them all syncing up kind of thing. It's tough not to get excited.
Yeah, no, it's always fun to be in the building and going through it. And you get a little bit of nervous energy knowing that, well, where I was sitting, I was like 30 feet from the whole Edmonton media crew. Great spot. I mean, center ice right above both benches and not that far enough up that you could see everything, but close enough that good pictures and good videos of everybody. And before it all went down, we were on the community rink side and watched them go through a little bit of drills. And then after the scrimmage, there were a bunch of the guys that are probably AHL bound or the last guys to maybe potentially get a spot were back on the community rink too. So watch them do some drills, some compete drills, and basically keep away with 40 people all inside two blue lines skating in circles against each other. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a time of the season, so it's basically like Christmas for us hockey fans. The season about to start. And now we get to see the boys compete against other colored jerseys now, like for some exhibition games. So there'll be a lot of these bubble guys be able to make an impression. I'm again like Boak. He's not going to be an opening day roster, obviously, but I'm really interested to see how he matches up against other NHL players. Like, he looked good during the Young Stars, but they're all kids. They're all his age group. They're all his.
He looks like he's not that far away. Like you mentioned, the size is there. I like his reads, and he's willing to jump up and try to get some offense generated, and yet still not be a defensive liability. I think there's a player there. I just think a little bit more seasoning and maybe a year and a half, 2 years away, and then we've got a pretty good player there. I liked what I saw. He looks like he could be a seventh defenseman right now. It's kind of
well. That's what I'm thinking. Like, say someone like Broberg goes down, and you need to call somebody up. Mm-hmm. You call him up, give him a shot for a game or two.
We really need Broberg to find his game. He's got all the talent in the world. I don't know what it is about that. We haven't seen the progression that we all want him to be at, sort of thing, right? I was expecting a bit more from him today too. He had his moments. He definitely wasn't trying anything. He was trying to keep it simple, but he seemed to get caught flat-footed a couple times. But we need him to find the Philip Broberg that we're hoping him to be.
That we drafted.
We're hoping to. He's got decent size. There's a frame there that can handle the NHL rigors. I think the skating is there. The hands are there. The puck moving. There was a couple times where he could have dropped down and looked for his own offense. He didn't. So I don't know if I get hypercritical about a guy that is responsible. I don't think that's the worst thing you could be, but I would just like to see a little bit more of an offensive flair from him. And there was one time where he was dilly-dallying with the puck and coughed it up, and it could have ended up in the back of the net. If it was, another NHL player there, I think he was out against somebody that's going to be down on the farm. If it was an NHLer, it was probably back in the back of the net. So just a little too calm, I guess you could say. Like, he couldn't make his mind up on what he wanted to do and ended up coughing the puck up. Luckily, it didn't result in anything, but you're trying to build your confidence for when the real season starts. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. So,
what about Bourgault? What do you think of him today?
Yeah, I think he's a little ways away. There's a shot there. There's some skating there. There's a cut to the net that impresses me, but he doesn't stand out head and shoulders above people. And for a guy like that, I think he's hopefully a top 6 player in the league. I think this is a tough place to play if you're going to be a top 6 guy. I think you're a little ways away from that.
Well, and in fairness, Holloway is supposed to be a top 6 guy, and there's no room under top 6 for him, right? So it's if you're looking for that offensive, dynamic top 6 player, this is actually the wrong team to be coming to try and.
This is not the Edmonton of 2013 anymore, right?
Yeah.
We're in that championship window where if you're not producing 30 goals and 80 points, basically, you're not cutting the top 6.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. 30 goals and 80 points in an ideal scenario. But
but
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean? We're not scraping for first overall picks anymore. We're trying to be the first team in the NHL.
Yeah.
I don't know if Evander Kane keeps cutting to the net the way he did. I don't think the 30 goal plateau for him is going to be too hard to reach. And Connor Brown, I mean, that guy, he might be there too. McDavid's going to be there. Leon's going to be there. Hyman's probably going to be in that 30 goal wheelhouse, and Nuge, who knows?
So Hyman, again, he is who he is. Like, he works his ass off every time. Even today in the scrimmage, he was one of the hardest working guys out there, and he's basically on the team already. And he's still showing the guys what a work ethic is.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice from him today, and again, try not to read into too much one scrimmage, but his hands kind of failed him a bit today. He had a couple opportunities there to fire a puck or to even dish it off, and they seem to be bobbling it a bit. But he is who he is. Like, he's going to score. He'll be pushing the 30 goal mark again this year.
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of wild that there's maybe 300, if that, people in the building there, and McDavid gets the puck, like you were saying, and you see him circle around and start to wheel, and you can just kind of feel everyone's collective breaths just hold for a second.
The whole buzz. It just like, and a shinny, and I'm as guilty as anybody else. Like, as soon as he picked up the puck, I'm holding my breath and like, here we go. And then we cannot take for granted that we are living in the Connor McDavid era. We get to watch this guy.
Yeah, it is.
He turns a shinny into an event.
Yeah.
He's on a different level than everybody else. You watch that goal from last night. The guy from the Coyotes
Logan Cooley,
and I don't know what Adrian Kempe was doing. That was some world class flybys, but. So that happens in that preseason game, but we're watching Connor, and I mean, when he did that little curl route and wound up ice, I'm just like goosebumps right now, even just thinking about it. I mean, and this is just a preseason inter squad scrimmage game, but it did have that same feel, like when he did the regroup against the Rangers. This was a little further back. This was about the red line when he did it, but. Man, he
actually had more momentum today. Like he basically did the one against the Rangers from a standstill almost, and then went.
We defended it better today in an inter squad game too. and I think Connor was actually looking to just kind of get open and feed Kane and Brown to kind of get them going. Didn't look like he was all that interested in his own offense today, but.
Well, it looks to me like I think the plan here is like Woody really wants Leon and Connor to drive their own lines as much as possible, and then hook them up for the power play, right? So if Connor Brown keeps doing what he was doing today, and especially with like speed wise, he was up with both those guys for every rush. If he can carry that load, then we're fine, because that Leon Nuge Hyman line looked really good. Like, they, out of all the lines, actually, I think they probably had the best chemistry of the line today.
And I want to dispel the idea of this 1-3-1 being a regular staple to the Oilers' defensive structure, because I didn't see that happening today out there. I personally believe, and I heard Rob Brown say the same thing on the Got Your Back podcast the day after, shortly after they first implemented that. That they're going to use that as a way to kind of put the clamps down when they have a lead kind of late in third periods. It's not going to be their regular go-to defensive structure. And from what I saw today, I think he's on par, and I'm going to agree with that, because it looked like normal Oilers hockey. It didn't look like we were sitting back and playing the trap against ourselves. So
I think there will be more focus on the defensive side of the game. Like, you hear every guy they've interviewed so far during camp. It's been 3 days. Not a player doesn't mention the word defense during their interview. So it's definitely being stressed. I'm sure Woody brings it up a lot, in their team meetings. I think that'll be the focus. And having said that, so like everybody's talking about Connor McDavid's numbers. What kind of numbers is he going to get? Is he going to from 180? Is he going to for 65, 70 goals? I actually do think that Connor's numbers might go down a bit, close to the 50 goal mark and the 130, 140 point mark. I think his defensive game is going to be that much stronger. He'll still win the Art Ross. Like, I'm a strong believer he'll still win the Art Ross. But I do expect a more defensive minded game from him. Defensive minded, he'll still score 50 goals, 130 points. But to call a guy like that defensive minded, I just think we'll see that bit of a
pressing
shift
in on defense.
Yeah.
Like and especially with Connor and Leon, they don't need to work on offense. They're the two best
yeah.
point getters in the NHL. So the only thing I'd imagine they really put their emphasis on this summer was defense and
Shoring up the defensive game.
shoring up behind your 200-foot game.
I'm going to disagree with you too. I'm going to say he is going to take I don't know if it was 1986 or 1987 Michael Jordan approach to this season. And
I knew there had to be a Jordan or at least a
yeah,
reference.
there's that year. It was early in Michael Jordan's career. Anyways, I'm not exactly sure the year, but he won the scoring title and he also won Defensive Player of the Year. I think we're going to see Connor McDavid go full Pavel Datsyuk and be this stalwart offensive player that he already is, and work, twice as hard to back check, pick the puck off of people, and go the other way. I think that's what we're going to see. I think there's going to be this thirst to get it done on both ends of the ice at mock chicken. If Woody can scale back his minutes a little bit so he can play about 20 and be fresh the whole time, I think the sky's the limit for what this guy could do. I think it's possible for Connor McDavid to win an Art Ross and a Hart and a Selke. I think he can run the frickin' table and win everything except for the Vezina.
Don't count him out for the Vezina either, I guess. It might be easier for guys to win the Selke now that Bergeron's retired.
Yeah. It opens the door a little bit. I think the Norris is probably one he won't win, and the Clancy. But no, I don't see him really relenting from the way he plays the game offensively. I just think he's gonna.
Well, he'll still be the most offensive force out there.
Yeah,
that is his number one.
That's a given, right?
And I think his numbers are going to go up from last year.
Eh? Yeah. I'm not going to complain if it does. Don't get me wrong.
You're punching that over for the
points
over 150.
I'm taking the over. I think he's unlocked even another gear from what he's brought before.
Which, you know what, he is capable of doing that for sure. But look what we're talking now.
It's crazy.
He's the most gifted player that we've seen in the modern era here,
and he's getting better.
And now we think that we can take another step. We're talking about him taking another step.
Yeah.
Whereas before we didn't see a player be able to reach this step here in the 2000s.
And he's getting better. He's evolving as a player. It is unreal. It's fantastic to watch. And kids, get your kids to go and watch this guy because it's not going to be here forever. That's the sad part of it all, but enjoy it now because he is one fantastic player to watch play. And he's not alone. Leon Draisaitl is an amazing talent. I look at Leon and I think he's the most amazing passer on the backhand that I've ever seen. And that goes back to Gretz. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that can send like a 75-foot saucer backhand pass right on the tape to spring somebody for breakaways like Leon. He's just in a league of his own when it comes to passing the puck. Developed his own office from the impossible angle on that right side, almost on the goal line,
feet behind it.
Yeah, and you'd think that the goalie would have him at his mercy, but it's the other way around.
He fixes the net just so he can score in it again. And I think that was Winnipeg.
Yep. And it becomes like a quiet area for him, and he almost gets forgotten about because the angle is so severe.
You can't score from there. Oh, watch me.
Yeah. And he's just become, a sniper, an absolute sniper from that spot on a one-timer.
I think Edmonton can do some damage this year. I think we're top 3, if not one of the President's Trophy team. And if Edmonton can scale back McDavid's and Draisaitl's minutes, like you say, to closer to 20 minutes a game and roll 4 lines more effectively and keep McDavid's energy kind of full bar every time he gets on the ice, I don't think there's a ceiling to what he could do.
I think our bottom 6 has to establish that to be an option. We definitely need our bottom 6 to be able to do that. And if Holloway takes a step up that we want him to be, that if McLeod plays the way he's still got a lot of upside to his game. We have yet to see any the high potential of McLeod yet either. Was Adam Ernie out there today?
Mm-hmm.
He was. I didn't notice him. That was unfortunate. I was looking because I think he's a guy who could be a key element too for banging bodies around and such. And maybe that's why I didn't really notice him much today because there wasn't much body banging going on. That's kind of his style of the game. But if those guys can, pitch in where we need them to be, tire the other team out and bang some bodies around, and to give Leon and Connor a bit of a rest, then we should be in good shape. One thing I noticed in Ken Holland's presser when he had his meet with the media, he called Connor McDavid the most driven player he's ever been around. And Ken Holland's been in the league a long time.
Wings,
you're talking about
Red Wings teams, and
you're talking about guys like Yzerman and Lidstrom that he's been a part of. Like, and he said Connor McDavid's the most driven player he's ever been around. So that's a pretty good thing to put on your resume, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Chelios would have been under Holland.
Yeah.
Mike Modano. There's some pretty good players that Ken Holland's watched play over the years. That's pretty high praise. Jack Michaels said that to coin a basketball term, load management, but that he isn't talking about benching players on this team, but scaling back their minutes so that come the end of March, the beginning of April, when playoffs start, that you've got people that are more fresh and not kind of worn out by the regular season. So I was thinking today, I'm sitting there and they're implementing a little bit of a 1-3-1 defensive structure in practice. And I kind of think the idea now is for this team to finally start games on time, go out there and be like Sharks to Seals, and take games right off the bat, go for the jugular, and then midway through the third period, lock it down and walk games home. So you can reserve, the minutes of McDavid and Leon and Nurse and Ekholm and, Nuge and all the guys that you need come April to be fresh, and, Hyman, Kane. Let's face it, I think injuries kind of caught up to us a little bit in the playoffs last year and took a little bit of a toll. I think what, for us to be kind of equivalent to last year or even better, I think our deeper in our lineup, we need to find somebody that's going to step in and fill what Bukestad did and what Costin did. Yeah. Those are the two things that, we have to at least equal their output for us to kind of be the same, if not better. I think a full season of Ekholm is going to make a huge difference on the D-core, but
full season of Kane is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
On the offensive side.
And I think, that tap-in goal today, you don't want to read tons into it, but the hands seem to be there. Even when they were doing kind of their drills before they even got into the game, Kane was kind of top of the circles or maybe even a little bit beyond that, let a wrister go, and it had a lot of snap on it. I was like, okay, yeah, he can shoot the puck again.
I was huge when we got Kane because he's got some sandpaper. He's a hell of a shooter. He's a dynamic hockey player, and he was kind of exactly what we needed at that moment because we didn't have a winger that could play with McDavid on that top line or even Draisaitl other than Nuge, right? So
he's another weapon for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Another weapon that balances us out of the top six, like you were saying. Like the options were limited who McDavid couldn't play, whether it be like Nuge or Draisaitl.
Yeah,
Hyman tried and had his moments, but Kane's the guy who they just seem to be able to feed off each other well. And if Connor Brown can find what he was doing, be consistent to what he was doing today, then
that's a great line.
I'll be honest. For me, Connor Brown is a question mark for me. I've mentioned it before. It's a pretty serious injury to come back from, and although leading up to that injury, the last 2 years he's dealt some injury problems. Obviously, last year was a huge major one, but before then he had 4 years where he didn't miss a game. So he does have the durability element to his game. But what did these two, especially last year, like what's his endurance level for that leg?
Especially playing with somebody like McDavid.
Yeah, because he's gonna get if he stays on that top six, he's going to get 16, 17 minutes a game in high pressure situations, and he's got to keep that speed up. I'm cautiously optimistic. I was very pleased to see what Connor McDavid did. I hear everybody talking about he's going to be pushing 20, 30 goals this year, and if that happens, fantastic. But I'm not going to lie. There's a nag in the back of my head going, it's a big what if.
Well, didn't we get him for a pretty
League
good
minimum.
premium. Yeah, so that like to me, there's a lot of upside versus you only paid league minimum. So
100%.
if it doesn't pan out, then you can't really
100%. We didn't
much.
take a big risk
No.
by signing him. No, it's not a huge investment. So we get what we get with him, and the upside potential is huge, obviously. So I guess that's something we'll see about.
There's a heavy laden bonus structure, I think, attached to that whole
Oh
contract.
no, without a doubt, there would be. Yeah.
Thanks, though. There's After Dark, guys, for tuning in. Much appreciated once again for what you guys were doing there with the preseason young stars, kind of doing the rebroadcast of the broadcast and having yourself on the side there like Peyton Manning and Eli do the NFL games and Sportsnet. Give me a call. I'm all over doing that for regular season games. That would be cool, but you need the rights to be able to do that. And my little pocketbook couldn't handle the lawsuit that would come my way if I tried to go around the corner to do that. But so tomorrow, Jets in town. Jets probably dressing an AHL club, and we're probably dressing a somewhat NHL/AHL club, like a mix. Going to be at the game with Noah there. Thanks, John, on Twitter for the seats at a discount. Much appreciated. Hanging out with Lotsu, watching these guys, and he's composing a thread while we're there watching, and everything that he said. If you want to look on his Twitter, I kind of agree with. And the only thing I added to what he said is I thought Nurse was a standout, head and shoulders above any other defenseman there, and Bush was good too. Them as a pairing, there was no glaring mistakes by either one. The only defenseman to me that I thought struggled at times was Broberg, but
I was quite impressed by Darnay too. He did a decent skate out there.
Darnay, actually, he had the one shift that he really lost and flat-footed, and then after that, he seemed to gather his senses and was fine. Another guy who I thought was very dependable-wise, never didn't stand out much, but just kept it simple, was Kulak.
That's kind of what you want with those defensemen is if you don't notice them, it's a good thing because they didn't make any big mistakes.
Kulak broke up a bunch of plays. I thought
and did a good job actually keeping the puck in the opposing team's blue line at the blue line there. Knocked it down a few times so to keep the play going.
I thought Vinny actually looked a little faster today.
Oh, yeah?
His foot speed looked a little better than the last time I saw him play. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind them dressing Jack Campbell for half the game tomorrow just to get him some reps and get him.
Oh, he'll get a share ice time this preseason. How many preseason games do they have this year?
A lot. Yeah. 8 or something like that, I think.
8, yeah.
That is quite a lot.
Yeah, so we're getting closer to when it starts to matter. I think we're still a couple weeks out, but yeah.
I've always been a fan of Olivier Rodrigue. I think maybe his development has stalled a bit to where we were hoping he'd be. I mean, he's a solid AHL goaltender. I'd like to see him get a couple of licks up in AHL eventually down the line. But I kind of like our depth there. Pickard's a good veteran too that they have there for Bakersfield. Mm-hmm. It seems like those two, Rodrigue and Pickard, have a good relationship going. Very similar to what Skinner and Campbell have going on in up in the Big Show. We've mentioned this quite a few times before, but we all kind of expect Jack Campbell to have a bounce back here. I do think those guys will have a 1A, 1B situation going. Very, very, likely to have a 50-50 thing for starts. Ride a guy when he's hot for a bit, and the other guy will take over for a bit, that kind of thing. And if that's the case, then goaltending is going to be one of the last things we're going to have to worry about this year.
Which is amazing.
Which...
Compared to years prior, it's good to not have to worry about those guys in the back end.
I think we had our moments there. Like obviously the Koskinen Smith era wasn't greatest, but Smith was battling injuries. But when he came in, there's some times where he flashed the Mike Smith of old, and then it's like kind of like that's what we needed. Koskinen, I think he got shit on more than he deserved, but he definitely wasn't a number one goalie.
No, for sure.
Yeah, but before then, like Talbot, before he started, his game kind of depleted there towards the end, but he came into the gate red hot. We had Roley there. Tommy Sal is probably the last dependable goalie that we've had in there for like a 4-year stint. Something that we could count on year after year after year. So.
That name kind of gets forgotten about by a lot of people. Tommy Salo was a really good goalie for a while. He had a good run as an Oiler.
For his whole Oiler run, he was fine. Like, he is the last goalie we've had that we could depend on year after year after year for like a 4-year stint.
It was the tail end of his tenure in Edmonton where he kind of got beat, I think, by the shot from the red line, and
in
then
the Olympics.
And then it kind of started to fall for him. But I like Tommy Salo, man. I guess you could say his demeanor was similar to Cam Talbot's, a pretty calm, cool customer, and
well, I don't know.
Or like UC Markkinen, almost like I didn't see Tommy Salo getting mad very often. He was a pretty calm guy.
Yeah, well, but he's also probably not a guy who would have squared off against Mike Smith, though, in center ice. So Talbot had that side.
Yeah, I mean, I
something happens when you wear that jersey.
They only live 3 hours away, but you see that sweater.
I love that Talbot accepted that fight.
Yeah,
that is ballsy and gutsy, and Cam knew that it wasn't going to go very well, and still took that fight anyway. And I wouldn't say Mike Smith kicked his ass. Like, it just, he got the win, but
he got the win, yeah.
I don't think he really landed anything hard. He just kind of got the takedown. But credit to Cam for taking that, because Mike Smith's a different animal. I wouldn't take that if I was an attendee. No. Or I wouldn't have took the fight like Cam did. I probably would have did the jersey pull and try to just hold him off.
Going back to that, especially, and you mentioned too, Noah, about Evander Kane's sandpaper. Like, are you guys surprised at all that we haven't seen Evander Kane fight yet, though? Like, he's got that sandpaper, though, but he hasn't had a fight yet.
I think he just is more of almost a Kachuk in the sense where he just gets under people's skin and irrigates them, and I don't see why he wouldn't tussle like Nuge tussled.
Yeah, Nuge has had more fights.
Has Kane taken a fight since that wrist injury? I thought he did. I thought he did have one.
No, I think he's had some scuffles.
Maybe a scuffle, but I don't think an actual drop of the mitts.
We need Dan from Oilers Nation and hockeyfights.com or whatever to correct us. I thought Kane had one since that wrist injury, but maybe I'm wrong.
He had one since before the wrist injury.
I don't know if he has one in the orange and blue sweater yet.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's not saying
it is nice to have him in the lineup because he can do that, and so can Nurse. But it wouldn't hurt my feelings if we had somebody else that was pretty effective at that wasn't a marquee player,
like a Ryan Reeves or.
I don't know about that, but somebody that can do that, like Costin. I mean, Costin could chuck him if he needed, and he could also put the puck in the net and be a physical presence. I think that's the new kind of tough guy that you look for. I don't know if it's Ryan.
And
Reeves
that might
anymore.
be what Adam Ernie's going to bring to the table. So, Ken Holland made it pretty obvious. We basically said so in his presser that he brought Adam Ernie in to fill the void that we lost with Klim Kostin leaving, right? So then you mentioned Bukestad before. I thought Bukestad was extremely effective this time in the Oilers. One of those unsung hero guys who did everything.
Yeah, let's call him in March and get him back.
Yeah, I know, right? So I don't think we've actually totally addressed that void. We have other guys that are going to step up and probably play a different role in Bukestad's spot, but they're not going to have what Bukestad.
Especially like in the playoffs, I remember I wouldn't be able to watch, so I'd just be listening to the games, and I remember always hearing Bukestad's in for the defensive draw, and I was at peace of mind because I knew you could count on him, like you said, an unsung hero. Like,
well, he won a lot of puck battles. He had that long reach. He broke up a lot of plays in the neutral zone too. All that kind of small stuff that the coaches feed off of and the team feeds off of.
But capable of winning a big draw.
Yeah,
pretty dependable.
Absolutely. But you brought up another point there too. Like, so now we get to see about what we have here for the next, few months. And then you can start, maybe you go after a guy like Bukestad again there at the trade deadline. So then you'll be able to start filling in the pieces that we feel we need to take that next step.
Once you know what
you have. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if I'm Ken Holland, I wouldn't be afraid to trade away futures for the now, because the window is now.
Well, he's made that clear too. He said that too. Like he's not afraid of trading away some of that stuff, because we are in that window now where we need to win.
To me, this is the season.
We got
go.
All our core guys are in their prime. Like it's push hard now. Yeah,
if you to trade away a Holloway or a Proberg, prospects or even picks for someone that's good now that can give you quality minutes, do it. Like that's why the Ekholm trade was such a good trade for us, because we didn't need a Barry anymore. We have Bouchard. We have the best offense in the league.
I like Barry a lot.
I liked Barry too, but we didn't need a Barry anymore. We needed a strong stay-at-home defenseman
100%.
who can break out the puck and move the puck out.
And we got better when Ekholm showed up and Barry was gone. And Barry brought a lot. Like it's tough. Like on paper, you look at trading Barry, who was basically our head point guy on the number one power play in the history of the sport.
He was our quarterback on that power play. Yeah.
It's amazing when you put it in that context that you can trade away this this very important piece of the most most dynamic, most effective, lethal power play in the history of the NHL, and you can replace him with a younger guy and actually make that power play better. We all thought there might be a bit of a dip. There was no dip. It got better. It's crazy.
To
think it could even be more effective this season.
Yeah, we were the best team down the stretch after getting Ekholm.
Yeah, and.
But I stay away from calling Bouchard the quarterback of the power play, or even when Barry was at the quarterback of the power play, just because they're in that position. There's no doubt about it that Connor McDavid is the quarterback of that power. No matter where you put him, the power play goes through Connor McDavid.
Yeah, and I don't think you can discount Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as a part of that too.
He touches the puck every time, like
everyone on that unit's vital to that unit's success.
And the movement between Leon and Connor and that, you've heard it talked about. Teams have tried everything to defend this power play, and nobody can solve the riddle, because I don't think it's solvable. It's a force to be reckoned with, and I hope it continues. And the thing that I have trouble with is, how come our penalty kill sucks when they have to defend against that power play? You think they'd start to figure out some tricks to being better penalty killers, but
that is the one of the big red flags of the team right now is our penalty kill. Like something needs to be done there, and maybe that's where some of these a guy like Ernie maybe who started playing the penalty kill the last couple of years in Detroit, what have you, and was fairly effective. But like you don't want your top 6 guys up there the whole time. It's nice to have that element though. It's nice to have Connor or Leon do some penalty kill time, because you have that threat of reversing it and running down the ice and scoring a shorty. But again, if we're talking about quote unquote load management, we can't have these guys crunching up massive PK numbers as well.
Well, I'd liked a few times last year where Bukestad was on the penalty kill with someone like Leon.
Bukestad was very effective out back there, yeah. And Ryan McLeod found his own as a PK guy too, so.
Just spreading those minutes throughout the lineup to give everyone more energy when it's their time to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we've beat that scrimmage and
and read into a lot of things.
But it's fun to kind of do these when I'm kind of in the city with you in person, Bob, and try to get Chad, but I'm not sure what he was doing today. So we had
Noah filled in quite admirably.
We had Mr. Noah here. Sit in. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll try to get this out on all the audio networks tomorrow, and be back Thursday night. And then I think after that we're going to switch to Monday Night Raw. But thanks for watching. Log on to heavyhockey.com and check out articles. Lutzy's probably going to have 3 more before the weekend's done. The guy's a machine. I'm probably going to do a write-up next week, kind of about the preseason here and what I've been seeing. And the boys, Oilers Live. Michael and Dash will be back on Edmonton Sports Talk Tuesday night, 9:00, and the Fantasy Hockey Hacks Wednesday night at 9 on EST. Thanks, everybody. We will talk to you later. Keep your sticks on the ice. Keep reaching for the stars. And go, Oilers, go. Good night from us here in my dad's living room.